welcome to Rue's life. It is the most glorious sunshiny day. It feels like the middle of summer, not coming to the tail end of spring. So I'm just out and about. I've got an appointment that I've got to go to. I've got some plans for later and I thought I'd just give you a little update. So I'm just going to take you round to where I've got the flowers growing. And then I'll just swing the camera around so that I can show you. So here you can see the pots, just go past the table, with the flowers that I popped in. Some of them are looking better than others. There are the dahlias in there, and then these are just a selection of flower mixes. I'm sorry the light's not brilliant. And then over here, they're just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful calendula. And you can also see that my sweet peas are also starting to flower. And they've got a bit more climbing to do. But these calendula are just divine. And then there are the chickens just darting around. So the light's not brilliant for the chickens, it's better later in the day. But it's quite nice for them because it is very hot, so that at least they get some shade first thing in the morning and then later on in the afternoon and evening because of the trees. But you can just see what an absolutely stunning, stunning day it is. It's absolutely glorious. So here I am in the polytunnel, and I'll just walk you through what my plans are for the next couple of days. So these beans, the Bolotti beans and the runner beans, are looking fabulous. The tomatoes, I have been pinching out some of the side shoots. They need a little bit more attention, and once they get more established I will run some strings up. I've already got, I don't know if you can see that, just here, there's some string there. I'll just move around so you can see. I've got the support here, and obviously there's the supports here, and you can just pop something behind them. So there's plenty of scope for running strings to support those tomatoes as they grow. And then these lettuce, we've had you can just see there's a wee gap. We've had some of those, they're really tasty. I need to get those out and eat them. There's enough in there to do a really big salad. My plan was to be a bit more successional with those, and Chris isn't a big salad fan. I'll be honest with you, so I really only eat it myself at lunchtime, but I need that space. So what I'm going to do is, if you recall, I've got some little leek which are over here, which if I do not move them soon, they are going to die. They're just desperate. There's nothing in those, you know, they're far too shallow for them, and there's probably no nutrient left either. You can just see them in those green trays. So I'm going to move those leek over to where the lettuce are to get them more established before I put them outside. And I found that really successful last year. Started them in the trays, moved them into one of the beds. I think it was actually that far little bed with the potatoes are in over there. And then once they were sort of, you know, pencil or finger sized in diameter, I then popped them outside, and they did absolutely brilliantly. So as you can see, everything else is establishing really, really well. It's super hot, and obviously unseasonably so, and I am finding things are not growing the way they normally would, but you know, it's all just part of it, isn't it? So if things are bolting, I'm nipping the tops off, harvesting things maybe a little bit sooner, a little bit smaller than perhaps I normally would, and then just popping something else in. So I've got some germination going. If you recall, I popped some seeds into these baskets, and so we should have a nice riot of colour at some point. And then if we just go out of the back door and round, I'll try not to get you my shadow. So these leek here have pretty much been abandoned. Through the winter months we had a big clump of leek here, and then we had some more at the far end, and with the homegrown potatoes as well. So wholesome and lovely for, you know, leek and potato soup and stews and casseroles. I'll be honest with you, I didn't harvest these, we've not eaten them. as you can see, they're going to seed. I was going to let them flower just because they're so pretty, and I may still do that, but I could do with freeing up that space. So I'll see how I go with those as to whether I let them flower and enjoy them looking pretty, and possibly harvest some seeds and then do it that way, or if I need the space sooner, then they'll have to come up. And there are actually still some that are a little bit salvageable, and we could probably still eat a little bit of them. And then everything else is doing really well. I'm just going to take you round to the far bed. Again, apologies if I'm shadowing. So this is the bed I keep talking about, this far end bed. I need to weed. Now you can see I've made a start on that at this end here, and I want to get on over the next couple of days and finish that weeding so that is clear, and that will then be ready for the pumpkin and the squash. Now what I'm going to do, this bed here, I put the hoops. Again, this bed needs weeding and this bed needs a little weed as well. I just want to get back on top of it so that I can get back to where I was, which is weeding little and often. I've had some issues with my health and I haven't been able to do things as much as I normally would with regard to, you know, doing a little bit every day. So I won't bore you with the details, but I'm back on track-ish. So, you know, I've got that time again now to put in. So the onions here and then the broad beans are doing really well, and then there's nothing from where the broad beans are and the rest of the bed, so I've got plenty of space there. The plan now is that I'm going to actually move the hoop from this bed to that bed. The netting that I ordered, feels like a million years ago, should be apparently arriving today. So what I'm going to do in this bed is I'll just take you into the polytunnel where it's a little bit quieter because there's quite a lot of traffic going by, and I can also show you. So here I've got three, I'm trying to remember which ones are which. These are, let me just get the, so these are the Ukihi-Kiri on the right here. Let's move that out of the way. So there's 3 of those, and then 4 of the butternut squash. So they're going to go into that bed that I need to finish weeding, with beer traps to try and stop the slugs and some netting to keep the birds off, because I want to have a better experience with my squash this year. So that is the plan. I still have some tomatoes which I was supposed to be giving away, but it was to work colleagues and people that I see when I'm in work, and I've had to have some time away from work, but I'm looking after them here in the polytunnel and they're doing fine. What else can I tell you? The basil's ready here to start, you know, to transplant into a bigger pot to give it the chance to establish itself and really grow. I'm just going to have a little smell of that. Oh God, that's lovely. And then I popped some rocket in this pot here, which you can see is germinating. And actually, these chilies and tomatoes, and the ones over here, they were only supposed to go into these pots just to transport them to friends. And I did worry that, you know, they might not do so well. They obviously can't stay in these pots, but they've been in for far longer than I intended, and I was concerned that they would just keel over and die. So I'm quite pleased that, you know, they're still alive and kicking, and if I can't get them to my friends and colleagues, then I will just pop them on into bigger pots, find some space for them. So I'm having a sit down. I have popped those leeks in, as you saw, and had a general bit of a tidy up, and I finally tackled that bed, and it is now, I'd love to say weed free, but they're never weed free, are they? But I have decimated those weeds. I think there were 3 full of the big blue trugs full of weeds, which have been minced up and popped on the compost heap, and that is now ready to plant up the squash, which the netting still hasn't arrived, but it's got until 8 o'clock tonight, so I'm keeping everything crossed. And then I will use the netting, move the hoops across, put the netting over, and I'll set up a load of beer traps. My only concern at the moment is it's just so hot, and transplanting things at the moment, I'm worried they're just gonna, you know, it's gonna be too dry. So what I think I will do is probably, it's such catch-22, isn't it, doing it in the morning or in the evening? But I think I'll probably do it later on in the day. Give everything a really good water, really soak it down, so you know it's permeated through that top layer of soil, and you know, give it a good soaking over the course of the day. I'm very lucky, you know, because I live here and I don't have to drive, so I can just pop out 3 or 4 times over the day tomorrow and just soak that, and then get those squash in with the net over the top and the beer traps in ready. So that is my plan. I may just check the weather forecast and see if it's going to go a little bit cooler, cool enough that it's not baking, but obviously I really don't think there's going to be any more frosts now, but who knows what's going to happen. So I'm really pleased with what I've achieved today. I got more done today than I actually thought I would. I just, you know, set that mindset of I am going to finish this bed, and I have. So I think I'm going to finish it there. I'll probably do a little bit more tomorrow, but I think I'm going to end this video because I don't want it going on for too long and getting boring. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all coping. I hope you're all enjoying the weather and getting lots done. Take care, and I'll see you all again soon.